Okay, let me see if everything is good. Let's see. Is my sound good? Blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. All right. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, looks like I'm good. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, looks like I'm good. Let's see. All right, hopefully the sound isn't too bad, but what's up? I figured I'd just go live right now and just actually read the chapter. Blah blah. So we know how last chapter had ended off. Not really happy about how that had ended. But hopefully we got hopes. We got some things we can look forward to in this next chapter. Hopefully it's better than the last chapter. So, but let me see if my sound is actually not too terrible, because I got a lot of background noise, trucks on the side. It's kind of hot, but I'm not doing anything, so I figured I might as well just kind of just go live and get the chapter recorded. But so we're on chapter 429, and this one's called Time. So it looks like we're back at Sylvie. Okay, so we going back to Sylvie. It's crazy they call her Sylvie Indrath. I don't know if they had called her Sylvie Indrath before, but maybe I should just pre-record this and try to like black out some of this sound. Let me see how loud my sound is. If my sound's really bad. Let me see if my sound's really bad. It looks like I'm bad. It sounds like it's really bad. Let me see if my sound's really bad. I guess it sounds not that bad. Yeah, I guess it's not that bad. Let me see if my sound's really bad. I guess it sounds not that bad. Okay, I think my sound's good. So I'm gonna just go with this instead of pre-recording it. So I'm gonna just go with this. But yeah, so we're at Sylvie. So I'm gonna just get into it. So, oh god, I'm hot as fuck in this truck, yo. So Sylvie Indrath Q. Okay, so we're starting there. I'm so glad that we don't have to deal with no more fucking Cecilia and her bullshit. We just go right to. I thought we would actually take a while before we got back to Sylvie and seeing what happened, but I'm kind of glad that we got where we're at. But let's see. Okay, so Sylvie Indrath, Q. A wry, trembling smile curved one corner of Arthur's lips. Welcome back, Syl. I blinked again, and Arthur was an old man with wait, what? I blinked again, and Arthur was an old man with streaks of gray in his wheat blonde hair, and deep furrows wrinkling his skin. Without meaning to, I withdrew, pressing my fingers against my lips. She's seeing him as an old man for some reason? That don't make any sense. This too old image of my bond hesitated. His hand, which had been, this is kind of strange. His hand, which had been reaching out toward me, pulling back slightly, just an inch. His brows creased in a frown. I blinked and the vision faded. Arthur, the real Arthur, was standing, floating in front of me. His liquid gold gaze like the hot summer sun on my skin. His hesitation abated and he leaned forward, wrapping strong arms around me and pulling me to him. I closed my eyes and let out a shaking breath. Arthur's relief washed over me, pure and warm and hard-won. This is so crazy, the fact that she's actually back, man. Like, we was waiting forever for this, but she's actually back. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Where did I just ended up? Wait. Oh shit, I really lost track. Where the hell was I? I closed my eyes and let out a shaking breath. Arthur's relief washed over me, pure and warm and hard-won. So many moments where my return was within arm's reach and then snatched away by circumstance. So much time and energy focused on the stone containing my essence. Beneath the relief there, I wonder how much she was able to actually hear and observe while she was in the stone. Like, does she know everything that happened, everything that Arthur's been through? Like, was she like watching the entire time? But I guess we'll find out. So many moments where my return was within arm's reach and then snatched away by circumstance. So is she talking about like him trying to like pour the ether into the stone and not being enough? Is that what she means by like within arm's reach and then snatched away by circumstance? So much time and energy focused on the stone containing my essence. Beneath the relief, there was a hint of regret, slight but bitter, that it had taken so long or been necessary at all, and the anxiety, the fear, the weight of it enough to crush anyone weaker, enough to choke the life from anyone else. My mind was still knitting itself back together, and as we held each other, I lost track of where my bond began and where I ended. Papa, it's really you. I was afraid you were a dream. So maybe it's kind of like a dream that she's kind of in doing all this. You know, like you kind of how like I was thinking like, okay, maybe she was observing the entire time while, you know, he was going through everything while she was in the stone. But maybe for her it was more like a dream. But then again, she did say that she was having like memories of like him as a kid, growing up, his birth, all that stuff. So I'm not really sure. I guess she'll tell us exactly what actually happened while she was in there. So Papa, it's really you. I was afraid you were a dream. The concept of time was all but shattered. Floating in that strange, ethereal place, just the two of us, our embrace may have been only the briefest contact or lasted yet another timeline. I held desperately onto that connection, needing Arthur's presence to anchor me into that moment in time and space. So, hey there. A voice, not it's Regis, bruh. Oh Lord, how are their interactions gonna be? Like, how is she gonna respond to Regis actually being there? You know, throwing on his jokes and shit. Man, that's crazy. So, hey there, not Arthur's, said from the void. My eyes snapped open and I stared incredulously at a strange being floating next to Arthur. He was shaped like a wolf, except his fur seemed to be grown out of pure shadow, and a burning ring of etheric flame wreathed his neck. He was considering me with bright eyes, which glowed in the gloom beneath a pair of straight onyx horns. I reached up and brushed the horns, sticking out from my own head, feeling I think that's how you say that word. I know how to say this shit. Inexplicably. That's what I'm going with. What the hell does that mean anyway? Inexplicably. I said that shit all wrong. In a way that cannot be explained or accounted for. Inexplicably. Nervous, but no, that wasn't quite right. I wasn't nervous, I was confused. The creature was nervous, but his emotions were bleeding into and let me know, guys, if it's hard to hear me, if there's a lot of like sounds, I can't really tell how it sounds. Just let me know like the sound is bad. And if the sound's bad, then I'll probably just do an actual recording and then just upload it, and then at least I can kind of mute some of the background sound with the software. But anyway, let's see, blah blah blah. So inexorably nervous, but no, that wasn't quite right. I wasn't nervous, I was confused. The creature was nervous, but his emotions were bleeding into me like Arthur's. Wait, she can feel his emotions too? So it's gonna be like a triangle type of connection. So she's gonna be able to hear Regis' thoughts. I didn't even think about that. That's crazy. That is so crazy, man. How are they going to be interacting with one another when they all can hear each other's thoughts? Like, is it going to be arguments between Sylvie and Regis, man? I'm excited. I'm excited. His emotions were bleeding into me like Arthur's. I prodded, but there was a wall between our minds. Wait, so there's a wall, but his emotions were still bleeding into her? Strange. Sylvie, hi. You know, actually, I'm not quite sure what to call you. Like, are we siblings? Step siblings? Are you my mom? Are you my mom? My aunt? You know, Aunt Sylvie has kind of a hello, Regis. Why is she saying it like this? Like she's so mature, yo. And then like he didn't even say what his name was. But I guess she already knew what his name was from the emotions and stuff, right? Hello, Regis, I said with a growing smile. His name appearing to me from Arthur's mind. Oh, Arthur. Okay, got it. Arthur's mind is how she got his name. Suddenly, flashing memories and disjointed thoughts were jumping like electrical sparks between my eyes, or behind my eyes. It was too much, and each flash was accompanied with a dull needle jab of pain. Closing my eyes, I pressed my fingers into my temples. Arthur, your thoughts. I can't. Oh shit. So his thoughts are kind of like, you know, just, it's kind of overwhelming her. An undercurrent of alarm ran beneath all my other conflicting emotions. Then the doge ceased. Yeah. I drew a steadying breath, relief washing away the lingering pain. Sylvie, I'm sorry. I should have realized, Arthur said. I felt them drifting back slightly. I shook my head. Not your fault. Slowly, my eyes opened again. It's just still, I'm just still kind of like shocked that like we're actually having Sylvie. She's here. Conversations, Regis, Arthur, like it's pretty fucking wild. But it's a pleasure to meet you. Oh wait. I'm a little bit ahead. Not your fault. My eyes opened again. They met Regis's, who appeared stricken, as if he himself had done something to harm me. My mind is full of a raging storm right now. My own thoughts are disparate. I think that's how you say that. And disjointed, and it's a lot. But it's a pleasure to meet you, Regis. I'm saying this shit weird. It's a pleasure to meet you, Regis. The wolf bent his front legs and dipped his head in a sort of awkward floating lupine bow. I couldn't help but giggle at the sight, which made Regis chuckle too. You look different, Arthur said in the silence. So how does she look exactly? Like, is she still a dragon? Or is she maybe... Wait, what just happened? Okay. Yeah, so is she still a dragon, or is she like... Maybe she's... I think she might be... I don't know. You look different, Arthur said in the silence that followed. The words made me uncomfortable, but it took me a moment to realize why. We've been apart for such a long time, but for me, the battle against Nico... the battle against Nico and Cadell and Dicathin was both moments and a lifetime ago. And I was unaccustomed to Arthur shrouding his thoughts and feelings so completely from me. Why does he keep saying something went wrong? That's so weird. Closing my eyes, I reached for his mind. I felt the barrier, then a question. I nudged into it, and it gave way, molding itself around me, not breaking completely, but making room for me. I saw myself through Arthur's eyes. My blonde. Oh, wow. Wow. So that's how she was able to see herself? She was able to go inside of Arthur's mind and see herself through his eyes? Has she ever done some shit like that before? Like, that's crazy. And she just kind of like nonchalantly did that. My blonde hair spilled down over my shoulders. So she's in human form. Man, so are you telling me there's going to be no repercussions from her doing this? Like, if she's going back to human form, that means that she's not a baby again. My blonde hair spilled down over my shoulders. Black horns protruded from the hair, stabbing downward and out. My eyes were bright yellow, gem-like, set in a face that had grown slightly sharper, slightly older. How did she get older? I wore a black dress of fine, glossy scales that caught the purple light of this realm and reflected it back, making it look like my body blurred away into the void. I look older, I said, opening my eyes. Just like you, but then I've waited a lifetime to return. What do you mean? Arthur asked, the worry in his face also mingling into my own emotions. Though distantly, Sylvie, what did you do back then? Where have you been? Time, I said, then shook my head, uncertain how much of what I remembered was reality. There will be time to tell you everything I know. I looked around again, growing more curious as the haze of my return faded. Where are we? If it has a name, I don't know it, Arthur said. Seriously, I've been thinking of it as the ether realm. The Jinn built their relic tombs within it. Knowledge of those terms Knowledge of what those terms meant manifested from Arthur's thoughts as he spoke. I am sweating in this bitch. But I think that if I were to not, I think that's gonna be like just too loud if I put the window down. But anyway, knowledge of what those terms meant manifested from Arthur's thoughts as he spoke, but that only served to confuse me further. You have a lot to tell me too, it seems, I said with a shake of my head. As I spoke, I became aware of a discomfort in my lungs, like I was breathing under a heavy blanket. Right, because she's in the ether realm and they're like breathing in ether or some shit. So, there's no mana here, I realized with this sort of detached curiosity. I experienced this lack of mana as a burning that was slowly growing outward from my chest. It was not dangerous, not yet, but it was uncomfortable and further disoriented me. We should go, Arthur said, his worry growing sharper. Okay, before they leave, right? Aldir. We gotta get something else from Aldir, right? We gotta get something. Like, this place isn't safe for Asurus. We can catch up and... No, I'm okay, I assured him, honing in on something that had jumped across the partially shielded connection between our minds. There's something else you want here, isn't there? Wait. Where are we going? What are we talking about? No, I'm okay, I assured him, honing in on something that had jumped across the partially shielded connection between our minds. So she's talking about Arthur. There's something else you want here, isn't there? So Arthur wants something else. Arthur rubbed the back of his neck, the sight of which conjured a warm glow in my chest. No, really, I don't want to keep you here any longer than necessary. I couldn't help but smile at his feeble attempt to lie. Your mental barrier has grown crass, Arthur. Blame him, he said, gesturing to Regis. Whoa, hey, I'm just floating here. What did I do? Reaching out, I touched the tips of my fingers to Arthur's chest. I touched the tips of my fingers to Arthur's chest. Your core, I said, piercing together tendrils of half-formed thought that drifted along our mental connection. You really have changed, haven't you? Little by little, Arthur opened his thoughts to me, showing me the truth of what had happened to him. The connection didn't overwhelm me like before, since Arthur was still keeping a barrier between us. But it was enough that I could make sense of the memories that drifted through. His core, broken, rebuilding it with ether. The trap, pushing energy into him until his core cracked. Sylvie, I'm just glad to finally have you back. Nothing else matters. I don't even know if I can form another layer. Wait. I don't even know if I can form another layer around my core. Oh, he wants to try to form another layer. Oh, gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. I see what's going on. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So I don't even know if I can form another layer around my core, but that's a problem for another day. Right now, Arthur, everything is important when you balance the weight of worlds on your shoulders. Bruh, she's already coming in with the wisdom and the bars, man. Like, what is this? Like, she comes back and just like, oh, no, don't worry about me. Everything is important when you're balancing the weight of the world on your shoulders. Like, man, she just haven't changed at all. She's just coming in with the wisdom. Yeah, that's crazy. I pushed down the ache in my chest, steeling myself to do whatever was necessary. You've worked so hard to bring me back, but now I am, and I'm not going anywhere. If staying in this place just a little bit longer will help you stand up against my father and grandfather. Wait, father and grandfather. Father. Oh, right. Father. Damn, I didn't even think about that. His biggest enemies is literally her father and her grandfather. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Then you have to do it. When Arthur's discomfort wasn't immediately soothed, I added, please, it will help me understand. A lot of what you've shown me feels so unreal. Whoa, that's a lot of conflicting emotions from both sides, Regis said, shaking like a wet dog. This is going to take some getting used to. Yeah, it's going to take some getting used to, man. You got two people's feelings and thoughts and emotions and shit. Arthur regarded Regis for a moment, then closed his eyes and settled his mind. You were my priority in coming here, Syl. But if I can take this opportunity to increase my power as well. Bruh, if he forms another ether core, exactly how much ether is he going to be able to, like, hold? Like, if he does God stuff, is it going to be like 0.1% of his ether every time he God steps? That's crazy. Will he be able to God step further distances now if he has more ether? I don't know. Like, this motherfucker might be able to God step between Dicathin and Alacria, like, whenever he feels like it. Shit, he might be able to God step into the relic tombs. I don't know. My mind is kind of just going all over the place. But anyway, but if I can increase my power as well, no need to explain, I said mentally. He gave me an abashed smile and pulled me in for a quick hug. Thank you, Syl. Sorry I haven't already said it, but I'm glad you're back. I shudder to think what you've been up to without me, I teased, reinforcing my own mental barriers so my thoughts didn't leak into Arthur's. I needed to be strong for him, like I always had. So this reminds me of, like, back when she said that she needed to be strong when Reynolds had ended up dying, and how she wished she could do so much more for him and whatnot, and like how all his emotions just like crashed into her and shit. Man, that was a devastating moment. But yeah, she still got to be strong though. She still got to be strong. And if he can actually form this core, man, this would be dope. Where am I at? So yeah, so she needed to be strong for him. Like I always had. I was his protector, despite what this place made me feel. Like I was warm water in a leaky bath, slowly cooling and draining away. This next step for Arthur felt essential. I had waited for him for a lifetime. I could wait a short while longer. That's crazy. So she said that it was like moments ago, but also a lifetime ago when it was the last time that she was there and they fought Cadell and Nico. That's still kind of wild. Oh God, I'm not gonna be able to stay alive for a long time because I am sweating right now. But anyway, let me see. Blah 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 blah. let me see really quick. Okay, I'm back. All right. Where am I at? I keep losing my spots. Okay, I was your protector. Okay, I had waited for him for a lifetime. I could wait a short while longer. Arthur closed his eyes and the ether began moving. I drifted back several feet, giving him space to focus. Regis left his side, swimming through the void until he was next to me. I could tell he was eager to say something, but he seemed to be building his courage. The Shadow Wolf both looked and felt like unlike any creature I've ever seen, simultaneously alien and familiar, comfortable and antagonistic. It's probably because he was made from both Arthur and her, but also Ulto. If I remember these names right, I think I'm like 100% sure I'm right about that. Ulto. Anyway, where am I? I looked at him. I noticed something else for the first time. Far below us, something like a dungeon was floating freely in the void. Wait, I looked at him. I noticed something else for the first time. Far below us, something like a dungeon was floating freely in the void. Thick, semi-transparent walls of earth and stone encased it, but I could see dark hallways inside. The relic tombs. I gotta get some air. Shit. The relic tombs, Regis said, glancing downward. Some sort of like home. I guess you could say I was born there. Not there in particular, just, you know. He was quiet for a moment, almost sheepish. Then, hey, I just wanted to say, no hard feelings, right? Like, I'm not the Sylvie replacement or anything like that. He didn't, you know. Why is he acting like this? Like, fill the void I left in his life by bonding with another talking, shape-shifting, ether-wielding being? Exactly. Regis answered uncertainly. I was born from the Aetheryte in his hand after you disintegrated and stuff. No hard feelings, I answered with a small smile. I'm glad he had you. He can be, well, it's hard to say what would have happened if he'd been alone, but it probably wouldn't have been good. I can hear you, you know, Arthur said, opening one eye to peek at us. Sorry to interrupt, but I need Regis. There's boundless ether here, but harnessing enough of it without the Jinn's artifact forcing it. Harnessing enough of it without the Jinn's artifact forcing it into me is going to be difficult. The Jinn's artifact. What does that mean? The Jinn's artifact forcing it into me. I don't remember this. What artifact did he use to force the ether? Because last time he used, it was that big ass thing of ether from that fucking crystal thing that was like killing everything in the explosion. And he like ran up to it and put his body against it and like just channeled all of it to his core. And I think Regis helped. I don't know. Anyway, so it's gonna be difficult. Regis rolled his eyes at me. Master calls. I giggled behind my hand as the Shadow Wolf form vanished, momentarily becoming a small horn wisp of energy before plunging into Arthur's chest. Arthur gave me a tired, yet gentle, smile before closing his eye again. I watched closely, trying to follow what was happening with limited success. The ether core itself was impossible not to be aware of, burning like a star beneath Arthur's sternum, but my senses weren't fully aligned yet. The strange void, the absence of mana within it, the overwhelming presence of ether, all served to confuse sight, hearing, touch, and the finer senses of my mana core. So the ether is confusing her. That's interesting. It would require patience. I knew my body and mind were still regenerating. Even in the brief glimpse of memory I received from Arthur, there was so much to come to terms with. Just as I had given myself to Arthur to save Arthur, he had turned around and poured himself into me to bring me back. It had been his care, protection, and love that had helped me hatch the first time, as well. But even before that, I had guided his spirit. I winced and rubbed my temples again. It was painful to think too hard about the paradox of his reincarnation and my own return to my egg. Yeah, because that is crazy. He reincarnated, but she somehow helped him get reincarnated into Alice and Reynolds' baby. But then she was also growing up with him as he became an adult. Like, weird. Anyway, return to my spirit. So I went to rub my temples again. It was painful to think too hard about the paradox of his reincarnation and my own return to my egg. My spirit divided and scattered through time like fall leaves that in turn shelter and fertilize the new growth beneath them. A moan escaped me, and I had to bite my lip to keep from shouting in agony. A moan escaped me, and I had to bite my lip to keep from shouting. Arthur, his eyes closed and his mind deep within his meditation, was oblivious. But his mere presence continued to be the mooring. I never heard that before, mooring. With which I tethered myself to reality. The dissonance between my soul and my body was growing. And without him, I worried I would dissolve back into nothing. So she's having a hard time. She's having a difficult time. Let's see. I squinted my own eyes shut tight. So tight that strange colors and shapes bloomed behind my eyelids. My knees curled up into my chest, so she's struggling right now. She's really, really struggling. So tight that strange colors and shapes bloomed behind my eyelids. My knees curled up into my chest, and I wrapped my arms around them, contorting myself into a ball as I hoped for the pain to pass. Even time bends before fate. A voice like my own said in my head, "You'll find that out soon enough." Who the hell is this? Even time bends before fate. So fate is more powerful than time? Wow. But it's her own voice that said this to her. That's wild. Yeah, I know. There's no mana there, but does she have any mana though? I mean, they didn't say anything about. She said it was confusing her, and it kind of like messed with her senses and stuff. I don't know. But now she's like in pain. I don't know, man. Are these gonna be some of the consequences now? Because like I was wondering, like, what are the consequences? Is this gonna kind of slightly be the consequences? Anyway, so she's going through it. Even time bends before fate. A voice like my own said in my head, "You'll find that out soon enough." Sucking in a rattling breath, I felt consciousness receding from me. Okay, bro, they gotta go. She can't deal with this. Like, and it's also kind of crazy too because Aldir, you know, he was like shaking after he poured all his mana into the egg. So like, with him having minimum ether, like he probably won't last that long either. Or not minimal mana, he probably won't last that long either. If she's losing consciousness, and she's only been here for like a few minutes. I don't know. That's wild. I tried to calm my mind. Wait. I think I messed up. All right. Growling, I clawed my way back to wakefulness. refusing to succumb. I couldn't not hear, with Arthur so deeply within himself that he was nearly insensate. Insensate? I think that's how you say that. Let me see what they say.
Insensate.
I said it right. Lacking physical sensation. Not now, after just returning. I tried to calm my mind, but the storm raging inside my skull was only growing in strength, and it seemed to heighten the intensity of the pain spreading from my core. Okay, at some point, she's gonna have to be like, okay, I can't handle this. She has to go up to Arthur, smack him in the face or some shit, and be like, we gotta get the fuck out of here, because I'm about to lose it. You know, so, I don't know. It's strange that this is happening now, like right now. Anyway, so I tried to calm my mind, but the storm raging inside my skull was only growing in strength, and it seemed to heighten the intensity of the pain spreading from my core. Images flashed before my eyes faster than I could comprehend, my whole life playing out in rapid succession. But the timeline was jumbled, the images being plucked from all over. I was training with my grandfather, Kezes Indrath, in Ephiodus. I was hunting in the Beast Glades. She was hunting in the Beast Glades? While Arthur divulged into the dungeons as the masked inventor. Oh, okay. I'm gonna say, like, did she go to the Beast Glades when she was training with Kezes? Like, that was strange. But while Arthur delved into the dungeons as the masked adventurer, note, I was losing the battle to the retainer, Ulto. A dozen of his black spikes already piercing my scales. So remember this. Disembodied, I was watching Gray, trained to be king. Arthur and I were flying high, so high it was as if I could flick my tail and touch the stars. The world below us hidden by the clouds. We were both grinning happy. I was pitting my dragon fire against Cadel's soulfire as my mother's will devoured Arthur from the inside out. I looked on, helpless, as Arthur mourned his father. You remember that? The rawness of that memory shunted me back into the present. I was breathing heavily, but the pain in my skull was receding, and I began to uncurl, stiff and aching. Okay, so maybe she's getting a little bit better now. The burn in my core had expanded through most of my body, like I was starving for oxygen, except it was mana that I needed. My eyes flickered open, blurry and unfocused, revealing Arthur's face only inches from my own. His hands were on my arms, gently trying to shake me into wakefulness. He was pale with fear. Sylvie. Fine, I said, my voice a barely audible croak. I cleared it. I'm fucking sweating in this bitch. Oh, God. All right. Fine, I said, my voice a barely audible croak. So they gotta get out of here as soon as possible, because Sylvie is having a really, really hard time right now. Like, this is kind of crazy. Like, how long has he actually been there? It doesn't seem like he's been there for that long, and she's already having this much trouble. Fine, I said, my voice. Maybe that's why. Fine, I said, my voice a barely audible crack or croak. I cleared it before continuing. I'm fine, Arthur. Your core. Are you? Arthur's golden eyes searched mine. My core has cracked. I'm still attempting to contain it. Wait, so he stopped midway and then tried to focus on Sylvie? My core has cracked. I'm still attempting to contain it in a third layer with the ether regions and I have gathered. It was a lot harder this time. I'm sorry, I didn't realize how long I'd been. So it's been a while. I shook my head and pulled away from him, trying and failing to maintain a stoic expression. I was shivering, and fine bumps had appeared all over my exposed skin. I'm not sure how long it's been, Arthur. A few days? What? Oh, hell no. I didn't realize it's been that long. But his core cracked, so he's like almost there. I shook my head and pulled away from him, trying and failing to maintain a stoic expression. I was shivering, and fine bumps had appeared all over my exposed skin. I'm not sure how long it's been. I'm not sure how long it's been. Either a few days or maybe he grimaced. But I felt a jolt of shared realization, and he gave me a reassuring smile. Time moves faster here. Even if it's been a few days, it's only have been a day or so in the real world. I'm sorry though. We shouldn't have stayed. I didn't think it would take so long. I'm almost finished. I was glad his eyes closed a second later, because the shaking became more violent. I hugged my arms around myself, but it was no help. Instead, I tried to follow the final process. Of Arthur's creation of his third layer around his ether core. So he's not done. He's actually still going. Feeling the ether move within him, hardening as he shaped it. I was disoriented, my senses dull, but at some point the barrier between my mind and Arthur's had fallen, and I was able to trail along in the wake of his thoughts. The process had been taxing for him. It involved drawing in incredible amounts of ether, far more than his core could handle, and incrementality. I'll be fucking up some of these words. Incrementally, okay, and incrementally overflowing the organ until it began to rupture. Then, in a rush, the collected ether was used to seal and hold the core together, forming a hardened layer around it. This new layer could only be made by sealing it into the cracks created by the fracturing process. Otherwise, the ether would simply dissipate. Oh, Lord, man. I saw in Arthur's mind the moment the process was complete. So he actually completed this shit. We both opened our eyes at the same time. He immediately flew to me and took me by the hand. Come on, let's get you out of here. We rapidly descended through the void until we reached the floating dungeon. Regis trailing alongside of us. I guess no more oh dear. Regis trailing along behind us. From the outside, I could partially see through. From the outside, I could partially see through the rock and earth as if it were incorporeal or translucent. But when Arthur released a condensed blast of ether, it proved very real. Stones shattered, flying in every direction as Arthur ripped a hole into the outer wall, opening the way into the dungeon. We flew into the gap against a rush of air, mana and ether. My starving body instinctively reacted, absorbing whatever mana it could, but there wasn't enough to sustain me. Within the dungeon, we landed on a platform that occupied one end of a cavernous, I think that's how you cavernous, okay, I think that's how you say that, room. I'm fucking so hot right now. A single arched tunnel opened into it from the other side across a pit at least 100 feet wide. Something massive and squirming moved within the pit. I could feel it reaching for us. But Arthur paid the dungeon, the pit, and the monster no mind. I was about to say, everybody get attacked by like a monster or some shit? He was facing the portal, and a metallic sphere had appeared in his hand. It came apart at a touch. Hang in there, Syl. We'll be out of here in just a minute. He used the device to change where the portal would take us. It occurred to me that we're going to have quite a bit of explaining to do when we get back to Mordain, Regis said, his voice strange in my thoughts. Minus an Aldir, but plus a Sylvie. Hopefully the phoenixes don't start to molt at the sight of a dragon. Mordain, the lost prince, I asked, confused. I learned a little about him. In Ephiodus, he's alive. Well, he was when we left him. I'm trying to get like a little bit of air, you guys. Like I'm dying. I'm feeling like Sylvie. Well, he was when we left him, Regis answered with a shrug before melting back into Arthur's body. Been caged up in the beast glades, hiding with Grandpa Kezis for who knows how long, apparently. The portal shifted, showing the ghostly image of an overgrown cave on the other side. A large man occupied the room. He appeared to be going through the motions of some training for him, but I saw him for only a moment before Arthur took my hand and pulled me through the portal with him. I gasped. My body reacted viscerally. Viscerally. I think that's how you say that? Viscerally? I feel like I'm dumb because I can't pronounce any of these fucking words. Viscerally? Whatever. To the sudden presence of so much mana, and I instinctively began gorging on it, my core hungrily demanding it faster than my veins could even draw it in. A booming voice let out an ear-splitting ha, and I struggled to look more closely at the man. No, not a man, an Asura, or at least part Asura. Oh, this Chul. He had a powerful frame with a broad shoulders and a deep chest. Like his body, his face was broad, but there was a hint of youthful softness to it as well. His hair marked him as a phoenix, but I've never seen a being with stranger eyes. One the orange of hot iron, the other a cool sky blue. I knew you'd return, he said, his voice still far too loud. He slapped Arthur on the shoulder, and somehow my bond wasn't sent careening into the wall. Despite your fragile appearance and frigid demeanor, there's an inferno in your heart that burns as hot as any phoenix fire. And I knew you would not turn away from the battle ahead. It took longer than expected, Arthur admitted. He was uncharacteristically uncomfortable, and Aldir would not be returning. The half-phoenix Chul, I heard in Arthur's thoughts. I looked somber. Ah, so you engaged him in glorious combat for what he had did to your elven lands. No, bruh, that's not what he did. It must have been quite the battle to have lasted 2 months. 2 months? No way! No way, man. 2 months? Oh no. This is crazy. It must have been quite the battle to have lasted 2 months. Arthur furrows. What do you mean 2 months? Chul gestured to the wall where dozens of marks have been scored in the stone. I have trained here every day since you left, awaiting your return so that we can take the fight to Agrona. 1 slash for each day. He beamed proudly at Arthur. I'm ready to journey with you, Arthur Lewin. But Arthur wasn't listening. The color had drained from his face, and his thoughts were racing faster than I could keep up as he considered his family, Dicathan, the army of disarmed Alacrians, and the Beastglades. The war. Kara being in there for fucking 2 months? There's no way. What the fuck? Oh, wow. Wow. Regis congealed into being, rising up from Arthur's shadow. His brows rose as the flames of his mane dimmed. Well, that's a little longer than we expected. Bruh. 2 months? 2 months? Yo, that is crazy. Wow. See, they had us thinking that Sylvie might be in some like real danger, like she might have some consequence for being in the ether realm. But 2 months, that's wild. But I'm about to end this shit. I am sweating in this truck right now with no air, and I'm gonna make a review. I'm gonna make a review of this chapter, and I'll post it up later. But I am dying right now. So appreciate you guys joining in. Look like we had some bot that's in here, but that's cool though. Look forward to the review. This was a shock. Honestly, this was a shock. 2 months. 2 months it took for him to form that ether core. I'm like, yeah, we're hyped about the ether core, but like 2 months though, like that's wild. That's wild. The consequences. Anyway, I'll talk about that in a review. Check you guys out in the next video. Peace.